it has nothing to do with the parcours or with the steepness of the climbs. It's just that everybody's very, very tired, which is logical. And today you could see again that those two riders, Carapaz and Del Toro, are just one level ahead of the rest of the favorites. Everybody else was hanging on for dear life and trying to limit the damage. So if you're in a situation like this, there's only one guy who can attack. It's Carapaz. It's the only one. Everybody else is just defending their position.
Everybody, welcome back to the Move Plus. I'm Spencer Martin. I'm here with Johan Bruyneel. We're breaking down stage 19 of the Giro d'Italia, won by Nicolas Prodhomme with Isaac del Toro in second, Richard Carapaz third. We will predict tomorrow's stage 20 at the end of the episode. But first, let's go back through and just recap what's happened before we get into Johan's takeaways. It's not a long stage in distance, but a long stage in time, because there was about 5,000 meters of climbing. Race starts off difficult on the first climb. A four-rider move gets clear. It has Visma riders, a Visma rider, EF rider. You immediately start to see they want to be aggressive. It also has a guy by the name of Nicolas Prodhomme. They don't get much of a gap by the top. The pace is really high in the group behind. They get to the second larger climb of the day, about 115K to go. A large breakaway finally gets away from the peloton, bridges up to them, has multiple Visma riders, including Wout van Aert. And then UAE gets the front, and they finally start to, they just let it go, which I think was the smart move. Around 72K to go, though. Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe probably thinks they have a shot at the stage win. They get to the front. The gap at this point is 3:37 to the breakaway. They start to pace a little bit. 62K to go. Israel Premier Tech and Visma go to the front. They're pacing, and then 28K to go on near the bottom of the Col de Joux, the second to last but hardest remaining climb of the day. Prodhomme attacks, drops Carlos Verona. Really impressive attack. Like, he did not have a big gap at any point, and it was not disappearing like I thought it would. And then they get to the final climb. UAE's pacing in the peloton. It's not an overly hard pace, but it must be hard enough to deter attacks, because we don't get a lot of attacks. But then around 7K to go, Richard Carapaz attacks. Isaac del Toro responds. They get a gap of about 20 seconds on the peloton, but then they're not really reeling in Nicolas Prodhomme. He gets over the top of the final climb with 5K to go with about a 59-second gap. Derek G and Simon Yates are 20 seconds behind Carapaz and del Toro. Go to the finish. Prodhomme wins. Del Toro gets second, picks up more time bonuses, extends his lead. Carapaz third, and then the chase group comes in 24 seconds behind them. His Giulio Pellizzari crashes into a barrier in the final turn. Derek G loses time because of this, but because of the 3K rule, they were given the same time as the group they were in. So now the GC is Isaac del Toro is 43 seconds up on Richard Carapaz, 121 up on Simon Yates, 227 up on Derek G, 336 on Dominic Cruzzo. Looks pretty commanding going into the final GC day tomorrow. Johan, what are you thinking about this race?
Well, we saw an interesting race today. I didn't think that the breakaway would make it. Prodhomme was very strong. He deserved that win. He was the strongest of those three. I mean, let's not forget, he was with Verona and with Antonio Tiberi, who had a few difficult days, but today definitely went for the stage win. He dropped those guys and then could maintain. First, he could extend the lead on the group of favorites. And then could maintain it on Carapaz and Del Toro. So very impressive win, well deserved for somebody who just won his first ever race 3 weeks ago in a two-man breakaway with his teammate, young Paul Seixas in Tour of the Alps. Seixas gifted him the stage, saying, I'm young, I will win a lot of races. Nicolas never won one, so he gifted him the stage. 3 weeks later, he wins the Giro stage. And then it comes down. Tomorrow is the last hard stage, very hard stage, probably the hardest one because of the nature of Colle di Finestre, and because it's half asphalt, half gravel. The last 8-9 kilometers are gravel, so it's going to be very hard, and we still don't know who's going to win. the Giro, which is nice. And also it's now, in my opinion, it's now a two-man race. I think it's safe to say that Simon Yates doesn't have the legs to follow these guys. Tomorrow's different. It's a longer climb. He definitely doesn't have the explosiveness to respond. It's been 2 days now in a row where he couldn't respond, or to the 2 days, the last two mountain stages. And Derek G is probably going to be fourth in this Giro, which is maybe podium if Simon Yates doesn't have a great day. But I expect Simon to be solid tomorrow. Tomorrow it's all or nothing for both Carapaz and Del Toro. Del Toro looked good today. He was able to follow straight away the attack of Carapaz. So that's good news for him. Had a strong team around him, the strongest team by far. Everybody else was basically isolated except Del Toro. Adam Yates had a few teams. I had Kelderman for a long time, but I mean, tomorrow is the stage of the Giro, especially with that 18.5 kilometer climb at the end of the stage, 205 kilometers, which is long for the last mountain stage, and the majority of all the elevation is in the last third of the stage tomorrow, which also makes it interesting. So we'll see. Carapaz has to attack, has to drop Del Toro, and has to make him crack, which on a climb like Colle di Finestre is very possible. The fact that the last part is gravel, it's basically everybody for themselves. There's the speeds are lower, and the drafting is not that much of an advantage, so it's going to be everybody for themselves.
Yeah, I guess the speeds are lower, but potentially the speed differentials are higher, because if you're like, once you lose that momentum, like, do you go slower? I don't know. I need to study this more. I don't quite.
It's not always the case. This is different because it's steep, but not super. I mean, it's not a wall. Like, if you look, for example, you see often, like these super steep climbs. Like, for example, you have a lot of times in the Vuelta a España. It tends to be there's not that much time difference, because everybody goes at their own speed, and even if you're getting dropped, you're only going 0.5 kilometers per hour slower. You're getting dropped, obviously, but the time differences are not huge. You often see that time differences on climbs are higher or bigger when it's a climb where there is actually speed. Where like between 7 and 9% are the climbs where you can lose a lot of time, a lot more than when you're by yourself on a very steep climb. So tomorrow is a bit of both worlds on Colle di Finestre, and then you still have Sestriere in the end, which is it looks not such a big deal, but is deceivingly hard at the end of a stage, especially after you had this monster of a climb like Le Finestre.
Yeah, I'm thinking about 2023 Giro d'Italia. Remember that final time trial, like insanely steep. I forget the name of that climb. Apologies to that climb for forgetting your name. But Geraint Thomas and Primož Roglič, their times actually weren't that different on the super steep section. Mm-hmm. And then it flattened out for a second. And then that's where the time differences blow up. Because you're right. You aren't pulling out massive gaps on walls that steep unless someone's going really slow. The Finestre, I'm looking at the profile right now. It's basically 9% the whole way, which is steep. 9% for an hour. The record is an hour. So that is going to give the advantage to the better climber. But a few questions for you, Johan, about today's stage. This stage actually oddly reminded me of stage 19 of that 2023 Giro d'Italia, the Tre Cime stage, where everyone thought it would be fireworks and it was a stalemate. The Twitter class was not pleased. They were upset that no one's attacking Del Toro. Why is nothing happening? Because if I'm going to be honest, outside of Prodhomme dropping everybody and that Carapaz attack, kind of nothing happened on the stage. The breakaway formation was interesting, but it was just so hard, and the climbs were so steady and one after the other that it was just kind of riding hard on the front. Yeah, people who got tired were dropped, And people were saying, oh, they're not attacking because the gradients aren't steep, which I kind of thought at first, but Carapaz goes and they get a gap immediately, him and Del Toro. So that tells
it's the proof, Spencer. They're dead. Everybody's dead.
Yeah.
It's the end of the 3 weeks. I've said it many times. It's an accumulation of fatigue over the 3 weeks. And I think Michael Sturr said it perfectly. He was, did he finish with the first group? I don't remember. But anyway, he was there for a long time. And he says, what do you expect us to do? We're all tired. And to get away, what are you going to do? On the last climb, ride 7 watts per kilo for 20 minutes? Then nobody can do that anymore after 3 weeks. So it has nothing to do with the parcours or with the steepness of the climbs. It's just that everybody's very, very tired, which is logical. And today you could see again that those two riders, Carapaz and Del Toro, are just one level ahead of the rest of the favorites. Everybody else was hanging on for dear life and trying to limit the damage. So if you're in a situation like this, there's only one guy who can attack. It's Carapaz. It's the only one. Everybody else is just defending their position. That's as simple as that.
Yeah. Also, it shows you how strong Prodhomme is, because it's like, oh, he's dangling out there because they're not chasing, and the attack comes, and that Yates G group never really gets closer to him than when he crested the Joux, basically. Like I think he maybe even extended his gap on the G Yates group from there. So really strong rider. Do you think on a 5 or 6% paved climb, if everyone's dead, it's harder to pull out a gap than on a 9% gravel climb?
What do you mean?
Like today, everyone's dead. I agree. I think they just look dead. Yeah. So no one can make a difference. Do you think we'll see the same thing tomorrow, or will the gravel and steepness spread things out a little bit more?
Well, yeah, obviously, listen, it's 1 hour of climbing at, as you say, 9% average. That's a long time. It's a very, very long time. So yeah, we'll see. Listen, there's going to be, I think it's going to be carnage tomorrow on the Finestre. It's all or nothing, and especially because I think Carapaz has to attack. He will attack, and he will attack several times. There's only one rider who can follow him if he has the legs, is Del Toro, and the rest will just try to defend whatever they have. They'll try to go as quick as possible to the top, but everybody at their own rhythm. If it's in a 1 hour effort after such a long race, there's not much you can do than ride your own tempo. That's like, okay, this is my limit. If you try to follow and you go over your limit, you could lose 3-4 minutes easy on Colle di Finestre.
So just a few notes I'm going to get out before we officially move on to tomorrow. Did you catch this interview? Did you catch the interview of the winner, Prodhomme? He was like, yeah, my legs didn't feel very good halfway through. It's like, well, they must have felt good at the end because you were flying. He was biggering in the Col de Joux. And Simon Yates said,
he was getting better through. He was getting better through the stage. I heard him say that he didn't feel great, and then he followed a few moves. He started to feel better, and at the end, he felt great. So yeah, that was an interesting. He tried his best in English. It was painful.
Yeah, but, he was trying really hard. It was admirable. I don't think I would have done the same thing in French, but. Yeah, maybe he was motivated by his 18-year-old teammate calling him washed up and needing a win. So he just had that ringing in his ears.
Did he really say that? Did Seixas really say that like that? Or is that just an interpretation of the interview?
I frankly have not heard the interview. Are we sure it was in English?
Okay.
Was it in French? I don't know.
I don't know.
We're spreading false information potentially, but Simon Yates seemed upset. Did you see this story? He's saying like, yeah, that wasn't the plan, and we have to talk about how to execute better tomorrow. And now I'm curious what the plan was, other than
and then I've seen the answer of one of the sport directors, Mark Reef. That's his name, no? Reef.
Yeah.
He said completely the contrary. He contradicted Simon Yates. He said everything went to plan. We wanted to make the race hard, and it was just these two guys who were stronger than everybody else. And those were two contradictory interviews. Simon Yates on the one hand not being happy, and Rafe confirming that they executed the plan as was foreseen in the meeting.
I kind of am on Mark Rafe's side there. That looked like plan. It looked like the plan went to plan, but there was two guys that were stronger than them.
I don't know. I mean, listen, you always have to be careful with what riders say straight after the finish. They're dead, they're cross-eyed, they're disappointed. You can't take it too much into account. I would think, because Visma has been pulling for a very long time. At least, I mean, that's the impression. I have seen a lot of yellow in front of the group of favorites. If that's not the plan, man, Simon, you're there. Just stop the guy. Like say it on the radio or stop it. Or I don't know what to make from that interview. It's a bit strange.
It's possible he meant like it didn't go to plan, meaning the plan was for me to drop everybody on
probably
with an attack. Maybe that's what he meant. I don't think I have anything else on this stage. Do you?
No. I mean, of course, it's logical that we're seeing all the time the same riders in front. I want to just highlight one. I mean, for his courage, because man, this guy has suffered today. Egan Bernal. He's been on the yo-yo in the back of that group. Like I say, okay, he's getting dropped now. Now he's getting dropped. He did not get dropped. He was suffering, and just stayed there and finally made it to the finish with the group of main favorites.
Finishes sixth on the stage, which
I thought he was getting dropped.
It's almost like he's relearning. It's like a rider learning how to ride GC. Because it's easy to sit up like when it's hard like that, but it's like, no, you got to stay in it. Like that's how GC works. And I mean, maybe he's getting back into a rhythm.
Well, let me tell you, I mean, he's obviously, the Giro's catching up with him. He's tired. It's clear. He's dead. And I just want to go back to a comment I made at the beginning of the race, the Giro. Ask Egan Bernal if the efforts of the first week don't count in the last week. He's feeling now is because he was looking great in the first week.
Yeah.
He attacked and was up there, was second in a stage. He was second, right?
I think he was third. He was second. Del Toro, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Del Toro passed him. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, listen, the efforts are catching up with him. Tomorrow's a great stage for him, actually, but I don't know if he's fresh enough to do something spectacular and try to win the stage. I don't know.
What's this funny thing about the Giro this year is it's because you're right. They're really tired, but you'd say, how are they tired? Like there was no mountain stages for the first 2 weeks, but because there was no mountain stages, it's almost like the racing was harder. It was like all out all the time.
And the speed, Spencer, just like the speeds. It's every day, whether it's a flat stage, a middle hilly stage or a mountain stage, it's from the gun. It every day. There's not been any quiet moments in this Giro of course not for the breakaway riders, but even for the peloton.
Was yesterday the first stage where the peloton?
I think so.
Up? Yeah, it might be. Yeah. Normally you see that multiple times before this point in the race. So that and also on Prodhomme winning, just if you're trying to predict winners in the future, you're thinking, wow, that came out of nowhere. But you look at it. He before today, he'd been in 3 breakaways, finished 5th, 2 fifths. And so it's usually these riders, like the riders who get in these breakaways are the same riders we've seen. Like there's no new entries to the breakaways because no one else has the legs to do it. Like what you see, what you get.
If by stage 19, 20, you've not been in a breakaway, it's because you're not riding very good. Or you're a super domestique who's always on duty and are not allowed to go in breakaways, right? But like for the typical freelancers, I would call them, if you've not been in a break until stage 19, 20, it's because you're not going to be in it in the second last stage either.
That's one of the shocking things when you go to a race in person and it's late in a Grand Tour. It's really crazy if you go early and then late, and some of them look like zombies. Just like you realize they're just they're just riding around. They can't even do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So let's take a quick ad break, and then we will predict tomorrow's stage 20. Hey everybody, this episode is brought to you by Hims, Wout van Aert, Mathieu van der Poel, Tadej Pogacar, and the new kid on the block, Isaac del Toro. What do they all have in common? They have incredible hair. Tadej's is so thick and full, they can't even keep it in his helmet. And we might not be able to have this in our lives at the moment, but that doesn't mean it's not possible in the future. Unlike their speeds, we can actually match their hair with Hims. And Hims makes it simple to do this with doctor-trusted, clinically proven treatments like finasteride and minoxidil, which are shown to regrow hair in as little as 3 to 6 months. You can choose from chewables, sprays, serums, whatever fits your routine best. The best part, it's 100% online, no office visits, no awkward pharmacy pickups. Just answer a few questions on their website, and a licensed provider will determine if treatment is right for you. If it is, they'll ship it straight to your door free of charge. No insurance is needed. One low price covers everything: the treatment, shipping, and ongoing medical support. Join hundreds of thousands of guys who have already trusted Hims to help regrow their hair and get their confidence back. Start your online visit today at hims.com/themove. That's Hims, HIMS.com/themove for your personalized hair treatment options. Results may vary based on studies of topical and oral minoxidil and finasteride. Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. All right, back to the show. Johan, tomorrow, stage 20. It's not technically not the hardest stage of the race because today's stage 19 had more vertical meters. The weird thing about tomorrow, though, is 205 Ks long, finishes at Sestriere, has the Colle de Finestre, which is an incredibly hard climb, as we've been alluding to, 9% average for about 18 kilometers. Half of that is unpaved gravel. You're going to have to put out about 1,600 VAM for an hour to go over the top with the front group. That's not easy to do at all. But the weird thing about this stage is it's kind of rolling to flat for the first half, and then all the vertical gain, which is 4,700 meters, I believe, that's got to be close to
4,400.
4,400. So that is in feet for Americans. That's 15,000 feet roughly. That's all crammed into the back half of the race. And a lot of that is just Colle de Finestre. It's also high altitude. Like it tops out at around 2,200 meters. Race finishes over 2,000 meters. We're getting up there. We're above 7,000 feet at this point. That's the altitude will be a factor. And I forgot what I was going to say, but basically hard stage. Oh, and there's a time bonus in the middle of the gravel section of the Finestre. So if you're Richard Carapaz and you're trying to pull back 43 seconds on Isaac del Toro, that could come into play. We don't know if it's going to be breakaway or GC. I'll list off the favorites and you're going to tell us that, but that's just something to think about. Richard Carapaz is the favorite at plus 200, Isaac del Toro plus 275, Derek G plus 1400, Giulio Palazzari plus 1400, Lorenzo Fortunato plus 1600, Nicolas Prodhomme plus 2200, Simon Yates plus 2200, Wout Poels plus 2800, Antonio Tiberi plus 3300, Florian Stork plus 3300. It goes on and on. We'll call him out if we need to. But Johan, is this GC or breakaway, and who wins?
Yeah, it's a difficult one. If it's breakaway, it's going to be guys that we've seen all the time in breakaways. So I'm going to divide my choice between a GC guy. Listen, logically, if it's GC, it should be Richard Carapaz. But I'm going to go for Isaac del Toro. Something tells me that he's in pink. He looked good today. There's only one wheel he has to look at. That's the only thing. Easier said than done, it's on a 1 hour climb. But man, he looked pretty smooth today. And you know what? Carapaz is also getting tired. He's a fighter, of course, and he keeps attacking. But after today, he was talking to some of the staff people there, and then I heard a little interview. He was dead. He was very, very tired today. So it's also 3 weeks for him. So I'm gonna go Isaac del Toro plus 275 for the win tomorrow. If he can survive Le Finestre, I think on Sestriere he has this.
It's all he's got to do. Just survive. It's easy, man.
1 hour. 1 hour.
1 hour of 9%. I know 1,600 VAM for an hour. And that's insane. It's like, welcome to the big leagues, kid. I mean,
you said Spencer, you said the KOM is 1 hour. We've had a little discussion about that before, but I've looked here at the Strava of this young rider, Pablo Torres, who won the stage on Colle di Finestre in the Tour de l'Avenir last year. Finally, I think he lost the Tour de l'Avenir with 7 or 8 seconds. He did 57:51. And I remember that back then, they said that he beat the time of Chris Froome of the Giro of 2018, where Chris Froome turned around the Giro by 4 minutes. So 57:51. It's 17.7 kilometers. So it looks like the other KOM is, what did you say, 18.5 kilometers?
There's like slight differences between the two segments. And like the hand timed one for the full climb for Pablo Torres is an hour. So it's like roughly the same as the Strava one that you have.
Okay.
With 4 minutes faster.
Well, this is from his Strava. And it's an official Strava segment, and he is the KOM. He has the crown for that climb. So anyways,
get him in here. UAE needs another leader at this race. And
he's a big talent. He's a big talent, this young Spanish guy.
We should mention that it finished atop the climb, and then the Froome year was middle of the stage where it went over. So going to be a little slower. Kind of an interesting thing. Ryder Hesjedal, I guess, did this in 2015, like in the Iran and Fabio Aru group. Do you remember this, where they almost put Contador to the sword on this climb? He ended up losing like 2.5 minutes. They did it 3 minutes slower than Torres, so slightly faster than Chris Froome. They must have been flying up there. That, if you want to that would be the closest analog to this situation where you have a rider you have to.
Was overtake. That when Mikel Landa was so strong in the Giro?
Yeah. I think he was teammates with Aru, and they pulled up the Finestre, and then they attacked after pulling. They were setting themselves up for an attack, and then dropped Contador by quite a bit, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Contador maybe saved it on that climb to Sestriere. The case for Del Toro is, after today, I thought, man, I don't know if anyone can drop this guy. Like, he looks really good. And if he's going to win the overall, I mean, unless we have some really close situation, probably the winner of the stage tomorrow wins the overall, because
I think so.
Buffer's not big.
Well, if it's not breakaway.
Let's just assume it's GC day. Amongst the GC guys, if Del Toro wants to win this race, he probably has to win the stage. Plus 275. My concern is that is a big effort, and he's bigger than Richard Carapaz. It sounds crazy because he's not that big, but he kind of looks muscular. He has like a muscular build on the bike. Carapaz is smaller. Also, if Carapaz is tired, you'd have to assume Isaac del Toro is tired as well, right?
Yeah, they're all tired.
So if you have a tired young man, not experienced, I mean, this is extreme climbing. Like, this is ridiculous. An hour long. You'd rarely see this in professional cycling. And he's tired. Maybe it's the old head in me. I think I'm going to go with the experienced guy and go Richard Carapaz plus 200.
Yeah, I think that makes sense, Spencer. Logic thinking would say, okay, this is what's going to happen. Let's not forget, Spencer, 2018, the stage when Froome turned around the Giro. It went up Finestre, and then Sestriere, and then another climb. Who was second in that stage? Richard Carapaz. So he knows the climb. Crazy. He has good experience there. We know he's great at altitude also. Which is something to consider. So I'm not picking Carapaz because we're always going between these two,
and we're crushing it. We're right every day. So how could we be wrong?
But I mean, I think logic would dictate that Carapaz wins the stage.
And if it's not GC, I mean, this actually is when it gets really hard.
That's difficult. I'm going to go with a guy we've seen in many, many breakaways. Almost every stage, every mountain stage, he was in breakaways. Lorenzo Fortunato. He has the KOM secured. He's in great form. He gifted the stage to his teammates Caroni. And he's going to be there tomorrow. He has super morale. He feels great in the blue jersey of King of the Mountains. And, now that he doesn't need to get nervous for the points, I think he will be in the break and he could win this stage. He's in great form.
Yeah, it's a good pick because it's wrapped up, I think, mathematically. So he doesn't have to stress about it. And he's just getting in a lot of breakaways. That's half the battle. It's like you can pick Tom Pidcock, but if he's not going to make it in the breakaway, that doesn't really work for you. So he's getting in a lot of breaks. Good climber. Best climber in the race, I guess, technically. So plus 1,600, that's a decent pick. I'm going to go a little further afield here. Florian Stork plus 3,300. Sounds a little random, but he has finished second on the stage to Asiago. Been in 2 breakaways since stage 15, which is a good sign. Mm-hmm. If I really just had to go for a wild card, I would go with him because he checks the boxes of he's been getting in breakaways. We know he's strong enough to potentially win a stage since he was second. And I mean, I guess there's a lot of terrain for a breakaway to build up an advantage because the first climb tops out. I guess the Cat 4 tops out 69K into the stage. The Cat 2, which is like the first hard climb, tops out 116K into the stage. So a breakaway could build up quite a bit of time. But
that's the advantage. The design of the stage tomorrow is definitely advantageous for a breakaway because they can build up a really nice gap. It depends. It really depends on what the mood is between the favorites and if Carapaz, mainly Carapaz, wants to go for the stage and the overall. Maybe he thinks he may need the stage, and the bonifications. Who knows?
It's possible, actually. I kind of wonder this is a bit of, I'm just creating the situation, so who knows? But I kind of wonder if Del Toro loses this by a small margin, does UAE regret not pacing harder to try to win the stage today? Or is there just nothing they could have done?
I don't think they could have caught Prudhomme. I don't think so. As soon as he got on top of Col de Joux and the way he rode on that last climb, no, I mean he crested with a minute. So it was he was going fast. I don't think they could have reeled him in.
I mean, it's I could be wrong. It's my opinion too that Del Toro was right just to play it safe because the worst thing you want to do is overextend yourself alone with Carapaz. Like just stick in the guy's wheel for as long as you can and you win this race. Like don't get fancy with it and try to maximize gains because the analytics tell you to do that. But the GC right now, I'm just looking at Unibet. Favorite, Isaac Del Toro, minus 118. Richard Carapaz, plus 100. So you double your money with him. Derek G, 33. Simon Yates, plus 3,300. So I don't think those guys are going to win. Del Toro or Carapaz, who do you think wins this overall?
I mean, I picked Del Toro for the stage, so I have to pick him for the GC also.
It's kind of funny.
I mean, it's it's a bit against logic, but I would like Del Toro to see win this. It would be great I think it would be great for cycling to have a young guy from a big country like Mexico win the Giro. Would be amazing.
Yeah, it would be. I mean, Mexico too would like get behind them because they don't have a lot of, if you just think of like international sports stars, not a ton.
Yeah.
So
I think there's a bit of work to be done there at the federation level. But this would definitely be something incredible for cycling in Mexico. Would be amazing.
I did think if he was not 21 years old and we didn't know what to expect from him, if you saw a Maglia Rosa finish a stage like today, the way he did, and have a lead, minus 118 is like shockingly good odds for the better on that rider. Like if this was Primož Roglič, it should be minus 400. There would be no value in betting him. Yeah. So it's like, and I do think he probably has to blow up. I mean, I don't know if I see him like losing 50 seconds to Carapaz. Like, maybe, but it's like kind of what are the chances that if he blows up?
If he loses, it's going to be minutes.
I think so too. And you'd put that at probably 50% or less than 50%, perhaps. So there's probably some value in betting those guys. I mean, if you like Carapaz for the win, plus 100 is still pretty good. And if he wins, you're going to be thinking, oh man, I can't believe we didn't bet on Carapaz. Could have doubled our money. What are we thinking? But it's just an exciting end of the race. You know, I don't really know. I wouldn't be surprised at either outcome.
Yeah. Yeah. No, we don't know. And it's going to be an interesting stage to follow tomorrow.
I mean, and no matter what happens, Isaac del Toro, an incredible ride. Like this is, you don't see this from 21-year-olds that often. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Johan, anything else before we take off?
No, that's it. I'm watching the clock here. I have 20 minutes to get dinner. I'm in the south of Spain for races of my son in the weekend, and the kitchen closes at 11. 11 at night, so it's late. But I'm quickly gonna have a bite to eat.
Well, we'll let you run.
We'll see each other tomorrow.
All right. And then we have our episode tomorrow, and then the final episode will be on Monday, like the move episode.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Thanks Spencer.
Johan. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.